Late night, August 11th, 1951. Near the border between North and South Korea, a patrol of American soldiers of the 2nd Infantry Division prepare to move out on a mission to rescue the body of a fallen comrade captured and killed the night before. Assigned to lead the patrol was First Lieutenant Henry A. Schenck, a 29-year-old officer who had emigrated from Austria at the age of 6. Schenck had seen action in World War II, later serving as an interpreter at the Nuremberg trials. Among the dozen men from the company who volunteered for the mission was a young soldier from New Jersey, James McEachin. The two men knew little of each other. The Army had only recently been desegregated, and the white and black soldiers often kept to themselves. But Schenck seemed a good leader, a man who commanded respect. Schenck in turn entrusted the green soldier with serving as a point man on what they knew would be a dangerous mission. Briefed and ready to move out, the men advanced through the darkness. In an instant, the silence was broken by the crack of gunfire and the explosion of grenades, followed by the shouts and screams of wounded men. The patrol had been ambushed. Fire incoming from all directions, one by one the Americans fell. Shot through the thigh, McEachin returned fire, all the while watching in awe as Lieutenant Schenck directed their desperate defense. Shouting orders, Schenck stood tall, braving the enemy fire and drawing their attention to learn their position and cover his men's escape. Determined to assist his commander, the wounded McEachin desperately began crawling toward the lieutenant's position before taking a shot to the gut as two more men were felled by enemy fire. A sudden explosion rang out. McEachin watched as Lieutenant Schenck, fighting to save his men, fell to the ground. Seconds later, another blast hit near McEachin, and all went black. Some time later, McEachin awoke, lying face up in a nearby creek, the battlefield silent. The severity of his injuries quickly became apparent. He could barely move, the taste of gunpowder filling his mouth as he clutched his wounded abdomen. With what little strength he could muster, he began to crawl toward a patch of reeds. Suddenly, the shadow of a man began coming toward him, a blonde-haired American soldier in Army fatigues. The soldier quickly began attending to McEachin's wounds, using his own t-shirt to craft a makeshift tourniquet. With McEachin half-conscious and unable to walk, without help, the soldier carried him across the countryside and through streams toward safety, all the while evading enemy troops. Reaching a forward aid station, McEachin was placed on a litter and prepped for evacuation. Through the fog, he would recall saying to his savior, "I never got your name." The soldier replied, "I never got yours either. Let's just say we're brothers under the skin." James McEachin was evacuated to Japan and eventually returned home to the States. He would go on to become a noted author, an actor, and in 1973, he became one of the first African Americans to star in a primetime television drama with NBC's Tenafly. He never learned the identity of the soldier who saved his life, the only other man to survive the patrol. The day following the ambush in Korea, a team was dispatched to search for survivors. None were found. The only item of interest was a single combat boot with a serial number etched inside, the boot belonging to First Lieutenant Henry A. Schenck, who gave his life fighting to save the lives of his men. For decades, Korea was known as the Forgotten War. Yet in recent years, veterans have begun calling it the Forgotten Victory, as their contribution has been more fully appreciated. 54 years after his action, bullet fragments still lodged in his ribs, James McEachin's contribution would also be more fully appreciated, as he was awarded the Silver Star to go with his Purple Heart. The valor he displayed on the battlefield and the honor displayed since proved common among the Korean War generation, the brothers under the skin, who, when called upon, were willing to sacrifice their lives for their country and each other.